Dr. Jayalal, former IMA chief, is joining us now. The autopsy report of the 31-year-old junior doctor is now public. To get a larger understanding on what it really means, because there's so much misinformation as well that has gone around the autopsy report. Doctor, appreciate you joining us. Dr. Jayalal, when you take a look at the autopsy report of this 31-year-old junior doctor, what, according to you, is the nature of the crime and how brutal was it?
No, there is no doubt. The crime is quite atrocious and quite brutal, and it is a very unnatural and unimaginable level of torture has been impounded on the patient to getting such kind of damages as described in the postmortem to get, and that to a young lady to have such a devastating injuries, and definitely it cannot be from a single person. It must be from the multiple persons with the multiple way of assault. Only that such a people can get such kind of injuries.
You know, at least with what our understanding of the autopsy report is, it rejects the claim that 150 grams of semen was found in the victim's body. Now, you know, that was also the part of the petition filed by the doctor's parents before the Kolkata or the Calcutta High Court. Prima facie, where the autopsy report is concerned, that part is rejected, sir. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So it cannot be. I mean, what is? I mean, first of all, I must say that if this is the true report, and we must say it must be done by quite an amateur forensic medicine expert. It is not in the proper way written forensic report. Mm-hmm. The autopsy must have been done in a much hurried way, and it is not systematically reported the injuries and systematically explained the injury. So and the words they are used are very vague.
Right.
And this is not usually a forensic expert will write the forensic report. And such kind of mistakes, which we see in the language is totally unexpected for a forensic report, because each word in the forensic report, including a comma, which is there, can change the entire scenario of the report.
That's another that's another big startling, inference that you've made, where you're saying the autopsy report is seemingly done in a hurry and somebody who wasn't very experienced of putting an autopsy report together.
I very authentically say that because we see hundreds of autopsy reports from different kinds of people and different stages. So none of the mature or professor cadre in autopsy person will write such a superfluous report with a lot of errors here and there. The sentence is not appropriate because we have a manual. The manual very clearly says and what should be there or what should not be there. The language which is used is quite astonishing to me also, because I find because the whole case, when the case is coming to an argument in the court, the whole of things depends upon the words mentioned here.
Right.
If there is a good lawyer, and he can easily split through this and get the
he can manipulate this report.
So this forensic report is intentionally put in a loose terms, so that when it comes to the court and anyone can argue forcibly saying that there's something mistake is there. Then the whole question is there.
Right. So Dr. Jayalal, the 150 grams that is mentioned is possibly the weight of the genitalia and not the fluid.
Absolutely. The fluid, nobody will weigh in the grams. And if there is, and that too they are saying is something like a white, thick, viscous liquid. And it is unusual terminology. We don't use a word like thick liquid. There's nowhere it is been mentioned. And there is a way, if they are expecting it is a sermon, they should have described in a particular way. And how they have collected. And what the investigation they get sent for. And at the end of the report, they must include what are the organs they have taken for sent, or what are the materials they have used for sending for a chemical analysis or DNA analysis. Nothing is being excluded in this. And again, even the 151 grams, it is how they measured and what was the material used to measure as 150 grams is still a doubt. And there cannot be an internal and external genitalia can be measured together. You can, most of the time when we do the forensic,
so we still don't know what that 150 grams or 151 grams is there.
Yeah, 151 grams. And what is that external and internal genitalia you mean?
What does he mean?
You can never take the
by that?
external genitalia separately and put it in for the measurement. External genitalia is a vagina and the inner part. And that you cannot cut it, take it out and put for measurement. You can only measure the internal genitalia, or otherwise known as uterus, and over you can take for measurement. But these words, they put external and internal genitalia measurement. And that is, I mean, that clearly exhibit, this is not written by somebody who is an expert in forensic medicine.
So it's as absurd as it gets there. But Doctor, yes, go ahead, sir.
Or it must be written intentionally to nullify this forensic report.
Doctor, I'll ask you one final question as well, because in the autopsy report, there is no mention, and the family of the girl has mentioned that her pelvis bone was crushed. Is there any suggestion that the pelvis bone was broken or crushed?
No. When we were also talking with the lady, this mother, parents, and they were telling like that, and they were also telling there was a fracture in the clavicle. But this report very categorically saying there is no fracture which they have noted in the clavicle or the pelvic fracture. So altogether, with my medical background, and I do not trust this forensic report, and I still doubt it is not being done in a proper way. It is being done in a hurriedly. The injuries noted and the words which they are using for that, and the lips upper and inner, it has no meaning. What they mean by lips upper and inner? You have a lower lip and upper lip. There is nothing called inner lip.
So the protocol, the set language to be used in autopsy is, you're saying, universal, and that language was not used.
That is universal. We have a Modi's textbook of forensic medicine, or whatever the pattern which you use, whether it is Kashmir or in Kanyakumari, the autopsy report is going to be the same.
And here it wasn't.
We are following the same thing.
And here it wasn't.
It is not.
Sir.
But it wasn't.
I appreciate you joining us, Dr. Jayalal. You've made some very, very shocking inferences. Well, with that, startling inferences made, where the doctor clearly says that somebody either intentionally wrote what he did in the autopsy report, which could not stand or will not be able to stand as evidence in court, or somebody who wasn't authorized to conduct an autopsy because the language used is nothing like a regular autopsy report is. Startling inferences there.